campaigners are calling for mandatory eye tests in order to renew your driving licence following the death of two friends, Mary Cunningham and Grace Foles.
The pair were crashed into by a man whose eyesight was legally too poor for him to drive. It was later revealed in court that it was so poor he couldn't even see his own steering wheel. Well, we're now joined by Mary's daughter Sue and son Terry. I mean, obviously, it's not something you ever get over, is it? Something like this. No. And the rawness of the grief must be impossible every day, especially knowing that this is something you feel could have been avoided. Tell us about what happened, how you found out and what you've learned.
So I received a telephone call from my niece to say that my mum had been in a car incident.
Yes.
And I just immediately went into shock. And she was being rushed to Aintree Hospital with Ackley. Anyway, we got to the hospital, went in, and the consultant told us that mum's injuries were catastrophic, that they were unsurvivable, and she was placed on life support until we all got there. Mum is one of 9, so, you know, the whole family managed to get to the hospital before they turned the life support off. During this time, we found out that Mum's friend, Grace, was also in this collision. And unfortunately, Grace was taken to Southport Hospital, but was
Also
pronounced
lost
dead.
her life as well.
And Lynn, our sister, went round actually for tea that evening and went outside to see what the lights were, and she was actually there when Mum was lying there.
She's seen my mum lying in the road.
Yeah. And so, in terms of the driver, Glyn Jones, who has received a sentence of 7 years, he was in a position where he just didn't see them, did he? What have you learned during the coroner and the inquest?
Yeah, there's lots of things we've learned all the way through. I mean, he was told for many years that he couldn't drive. He didn't meet the standard to drive anyway. And the challenge you've got with this is that he actually said that he stepped out from the left-hand side of the car, and they didn't. They were almost across. He didn't even know where they were. And when there was one report that he said he thought he'd hit a bag of rubbish.
Well, that's right. That was the detail, and I'm sure it's really difficult for you to go over it, but it's quite important for people to understand how bad his eyesight was. That he was going at 30 miles per hour, and he hadn't slowed down. No. So that tells you completely that he hasn't seen anything.
As you'll
he was
see in
oblivious.
the documentary, the lights on the car come on after he's hit them.
Yeah, he didn't brake.
And then like you say, when this is right, when he does realise, or he comes to a stop, he then reverses the car.
No, he drives forward.
He drives forward.
And the back of the car lifts up again, and we did believe that Mum was under the car, and he didn't even know that.
So he's gone over her again.
Yeah.
And in fact, the gentleman who rang the crash in, he came out and had to tell him there's another one behind the car.
And he thought, that's when he thought, he said, oh, I thought it was a bag of rubbish. Yeah.
Well, no, he thought what was going down the side of the car was a bag of rubbish, but we believe that's the free paper that was on the
bus.
And that was Grace had picked one of them up as she was crossing the road. So, but don't forget, Mum was helping Grace across the road. I mean, this is the issue.
And where had they been on that day? What had they been doing?
They go to a club, which is like a social gathering in the local
time out, essentially.
Yeah.
It was a charity do. It was for the RNLI. It was a charity do they were at.
And, they got the bus back. And, you know, we couldn't understand. It's a very straight road, Lulworth Road. So for a long time, we was wondering, how's this happened? Because I'm a driver. And if I see anybody in the road, I'll stop.
Well, that's, you know, you wind your window down and say, what are you doing in the road? You don't plough straight through them.
No. So, look, you want change, don't you? Because as it stands, drivers in the UK are legally responsible for ensuring they're medically fit to drive, aren't they? A driver must be able to read a number plate from 20 metres in good daylight or with contact lenses if needed. Now, actually, 20 metres is quite a distance. You know, we've set something up, haven't we, to try and show people what this requires. So our studio, side to side,
It's
is
about 20,
metres.
probably just short of 20.
Just under.
Yeah.
So we measured it, and what you can see, we've set up a camera. Hopefully you can take that camera so we can describe it just by our door, one side of the studio, all the way across to the other side of the studio where Laura is. Can we see the actual number plate? Sorry, the distance, because that's where... So is that the camera, then, that you're showing through?
So that's what we're supposed to see from this camera?
That's what you're supposed to see.
Oh.
So you have to see across the studio. It's not a very clear image. I do apologise, everybody. Just to the right where Laura is. Can you read that on your lens? Because that's a 20-metre distance. Yeah. That's a long, long way. Very hard to see. So I don't know if at home you can read that, because that should be the sort of equivalence. It's through a camera lens, and we haven't set it up brilliantly. I'm going to just apologise. But that is what you meant to see. So what do you want to do?
So what we need is change. So from when you apply for a provisional licence, you then go on to the test centre. You were asked to read the number plate at 20 metres.
Yes.
That's not testing your field of vision.
Or at night, either.
Or at night.
No.
It's only done in perfect daylight.
So you get in a car, you drive, and then the next time you're asked about your vision is when you're 70.
53 years later on.
And you tick a box to say...
So you're asking
you self-certify yourself.
The obligation is maybe on opticians, optometrists, when they hear this, that they should report this. Is that what you're asking for?
Well, Mr. Booth, who is the senior ophthalmologist, he said 40 years he's never reported anybody, but he's told plenty of people because it's against any
data,
legality.
it's a data protection issue.
So they can't. But you know, and a prime example of this is you take your car for an MOT.
Yeah.
The car is reported from the garage to the DVLA that the car isn't safe.
Yeah.
You are never tested as the driver, and it's the driver that kills the pedestrian, not the car. So the car is safe, but the driver isn't.
Yeah.
Gosh. Well, look, a Department for Transport spokesperson said the NHS recommends adults should have their eyes tested every 2 years, and drivers are legally required to inform the DVLA if they have a condition which affects their eyesight, and that they're committed to improving road safety and continue to explore ways to achieve this. Of course, though, that relies on people having the self-awareness and conscience to go forward and report it,
and your eyes deteriorate over age, and you don't know.
No.
You don't know yourself. So what we're calling for is professionals need to tell you and report it in to the authorities, because the police have no chance of knowing whether you're safe to drive or not.
That's right.
They can test you for drink, they can test you for drugs, they can see if you've been speeding, but because of the eyesight rules, they can't tell you. Glyn Jones was missed at the side of the road when clearly he couldn't see.
Yeah.
Look, Sue and Terry, I think it's incredibly brave. At the end of this, you've lost your mother, and that's not easy in any shape or form. And to go through what you've gone through, but being brave enough to come on television and tell that story. And hopefully, the point is we want to help others, don't we? And hope this never happens again. Right?
Well, there's 1,600 people died last year on the road at a cost of 1.5.
And what a lovely honour that will be to your mum and your mum's dear friend.
Thank you.
And we wish you all the best with your grieving and the campaign.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you for having us.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.